when friendships no longer fit.
And I'm quite sure a lot of you guys can relate to that. Outgrowing your circle. A lot of times, we start off with a friend or buddy circle or family circle, and sometimes we tend to outgrow that.
Yes,
So
we
we
do.
wanted to talk about that today.
Yes.
One of our followers felt that it'd be a good subject. Gonna actually share a little short story from them. What brought this topic together today. All right, fam. Welcome back again for another amazing
Yes.
episode of J&B
Yes.
Live.
Yes.
It's your guy Broker
And I'm
J3
Dr.
and the
B.
one and only right here. And today we're gonna dive into something real seriously, outgrowing friendships. Doc, I know about you, but I've had let some people go over the years.
Yes.
And let me
Yes.
tell you, it's not always easy.
I know. I know. Thank you for joining us, Danny. Thank you for joining us. Whoa, that is a subject that is hot right off the press. But you're right. We don't talk about it enough because there are certain friends and family that you may consider friends that you outgrow. But outgrowing friendship is a part of life, it happens. And the thing is that it doesn't mean that there's some type of animosity between the two of you. It just means you're evolving, you're changing, we're changing.
Yeah, we're constantly growing, exactly, Doc B. And sometimes we hold on to people sometimes out of guilt or our history with them. So many times, I've heard people say, well, we've been friends for like 15, 20
Yes,
years,
Lord have mercy.
and
Yes.
even though they do me wrong all the time, we still tight like that. And it's not because they actually fit where you're going, because sometimes you're moving in a direction opposite of where your friend circle is going. And sometimes, again, we have to let go of those people.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Kevin Samuels. Amado Baden. Thank you for joining us. You are so right. That's a word in itself. Just because we've been friends for years doesn't mean that we're meant to be friends forever. That does not mean that that has to be the case. Some friends are seasonal, just for a season, and that's okay.
Yeah, you're absolutely right,
Yeah, yeah.
Dr. B, because we spoke about this once before
We
in a,
sure
in a
did.
previous podcast. Sometimes people that come into your life for a season, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we have to recognize
Yes.
when that season is, because again, today you're gonna realize a lot of times you're gonna outgrow some of your friendships that you have with some of your people, and it's okay.
It is okay.
There's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't mean that they become your enemies. It just means that you moved on to a different plateau, we may say, because you're evolving, and sometimes you may evolve quicker than others. Okay, now we're gonna jump right into our first segment today.
Mm-hmm.
Is signs that you're outgrowing your friendship. We're gonna talk about some things that you'll start to recognize that
Mm-hmm.
will allow you guys to realize when you're outgrowing those friendship, when it's time to kind of abandon that friend circle that you're in. All right, let's break it down. How do you know when you've outgrown a friendship? What are the signs?
Okay, the first thing you want to look for is when you cannot be your full self around that person or person. If you're shrinking, you're playing small, or you're just avoiding certain conversations because you know they won't understand that conversation, that is a sign.
Yeah, I totally agree, Doc B. Because first of all, most times especially when you in your
Yes,
friend circle, you're supposed to be able to be yourself.
yes,
And if you can't be yourself, or it's always seemed like it's a battle back and forth for you to be who you are, then that's definitely a sign. Whew, I can tell you, boy, we've been there before.
yes,
I
I
can tell you, we've been
have.
there.
I
But
have.
what about when you feel drained every time you talk to them? You've been in that situation where you call in one of your friends and you're talking to them. It seems
Mhm.
like you get off that conversation, you just feel so tired, like, oh my god, why did I call this person?
Mhm.
You shouldn't feel drained when you're calling your friend, somebody that's supposed to be, especially in your tight
Yeah,
circle.
that is. Yes.
Like, instead of uplifting, you or that
Yes.
situation, it seems like it's draining you.
Yes, and I can give you a personal story about a friend that I have. We would have conversations about, she would call me and she would tell me about the relationship between her and her husband at that time, about how he was treating her, etc. And by the time I got off the phone with her, I was exhausted. And so it had got to the point where I would give her advice or suggestions how to fix it. And it'd be the same story every single time I talked to her. So guess what I started doing, Broker J3?
What's
I
that?
started not answering the phone when she called me
Wow.
because it was draining me every time I talked to her. So instead of being drained, you want to be uplifted when you talk to your friends, not exhausted.
And sometimes you have to do that. You really do. Like, sometimes you just really do. You don't never want to put yourself in a situation where you finish talking to somebody, like I said a few minutes ago, and you're drained. It shouldn't be like that. Man, that's just so real.
Yeah.
Like if you're focused on growth, business, or just being a better person, but your friends are stuck in the same old pattern, it's hard to connect.
Yeah, and they're sucking all of your energy out of you. So, Broker J3, it says that let's focus on growth, business, or just being a better person. That's what you want to look at, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so it's hard to connect. So what we want to do next is we want to discuss, don't judge them, but do recognize when you've outgrown that space, that person, that relationship that you have with that friend.
Exactly. I agree with you, Doc B, because you're gonna have some of your friends out there that's gonna be like, "Oh, you're just too busy for us now," or "You think that you're better than us," and they may give you that
Yes.
rundown. Now, don't allow that to be the narrative, because sometimes you have to change that narrative. No, it's not like that. It's just, I'm working on a few things. I told you I'm trying to work on,
Yes.
work on my business, or I'm just trying to focus on being a better person so that I can be a better person for others. You don't have to go through the long explanations or try to make them feel like you're pushing them aside or anything like that, because truly it's not like that. It's just you're growing. And sometimes when you're growing, you have to let go of things that could be holding you back.
You've outgrown the relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, Doc B.
No, it's nothing wrong with it. That happens all the time. So the second segment that we want to discuss is, or talk about, is navigating friendship changes with grace.
Oh, that sounds like a good one.
Yes.
I see we have a few more for people coming in,
Oh,
Doc
yes.
B.
Okay. Thank you, Earl, for joining us. Thank you. Thank you. Also, Poketon. Let's see. Melissa 617. Thank you for joining us. John, thank you for joining us, guys. Big hearts to you. Thank you for chiming in and joining us. So we're going to move on and talk about this second segment.
Okay. So what do you do when you realize that the friendship isn't working anymore? Do you just ghost them, Doc?
No, now you don't want to just do that. That doesn't seem right. You want to at least give them an explanation. No, you don't want to. I don't believe in ghosting. So what you want to do is you want to be intentional. Sometimes friendship fades, and that person should realize that as well, and that's okay. But if it's a close friend, it's worth having an honest conversation with that person. Let them know the space that you're in and the space that they're in, and just have an honest conversation about how to move forward.
But do you think you'll be able to have that honest conversation with everybody? Because some of them can be quite difficult, Doc
Yes,
B.
yes, they will. It will be some that will be pissed off, of course. Yes, some will be upset, and they'll be, some will probably say, "I've been doing." Well, this is what you say first. I've been doing a lot of personal growth, and I feel like we're moving in different directions. I still care about you, but I need to surround myself with people who align with where I'm headed. That's normal for you to say that. Now, how they react to that, we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah, but what about even when you like, hey, I'm evolving and you're not?
Okay, so if they say that I'm involved, well, if you say I'm involved and you're not, they may say, well, that doesn't affect the way that our relationship is going. And then you can say, yeah, yes, it does. I'm uncomfortable. I mentioned earlier about the conversation that I was having with my friend. I'm uncomfortable. So eventually I did talk to that person and tell her that I said, you're just draining me. Every time I talk to you, I have no energy. And so that friend that I have, we're still friends, but we don't talk every day. We don't talk every week. We may talk or go and do a ladies' night out maybe every month. So you can still maintain that friendship, but you may not be as close as you once were.
So what would you say to them?
To back as a response,
Right.
well, here's the thing. You can say, well, you can't control them. You can't control their actions or anything like that. You would just say, well, hey, I'm evolving. I mentioned to you a few minutes ago that I told her that, you're draining me every time I talk to you. I don't have any energy. And so at that point, she was okay with it, and she understood because she knew that she was having some difficulties at that time. And our conversations were to the point where I was just exhausted, and it would be the same conversation we would have week after week, and it was just getting old in my term. That's the term that I use.
So basically, what you're saying is you let them know that you still care about them.
Oh yeah,
But
absolutely.
you need to surround yourself with people who align more and where you're heading.
Where I'm heading, and I didn't want that because sometimes when you have conversations with people, it affects your demeanor. And you have to be careful with that, because if you're going in one direction, another person is going in another direction. That's a conflict, and so it can affect the way that you behave and you act. And you can let people down in a nice way without hurting their feelings.
Now, that's so mature, Doc B. But I got to play the devil advocate again. Hey, you know how it is now. But what about those friends who don't take it that well? Because some of them, everybody don't take it the same way,
Well,
Doc B.
if they don't take it that way, then that's tough. But the thing is, you can't control their reactions. You can only control your intentions. You have good intentions, and if they respect you, they will understand. And if they don't, that just confirms why you have to move on without that friend.
I totally get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it because, it truly makes sense, because if you realize that
Yes.
you're at a stage in your life where you're trying to move on, you're trying to better yourself, and
Yes.
and you're trying to let your friends know, hey guys, it's not like, I'm sorry we don't hang out like we used to. It's just,
Yes.
I'm trying to put this business together, and it's taking a lot of my time. I can't go hang out and drink and hang out with you guys and stuff like that. I like to hang out with you guys, but I'm at a certain point in my life right now, a growth point,
Yes.
and this is where I'm at right now. So this is what my focus is. But we're still cool, we're still tight. It's just I have to
Yes.
look out for what's best
Yeah,
for me.
absolutely, absolutely. So the third segment is finding and building new connections.
You
Okay,
know.
Broker J3, how do we move forward with finding and building new connections?
All right. Well, so let's say you've outgrown some friendships. Now what? You done let some people go that's not aligning with what you're trying to do. And now what? Now what do I do now? How do I find a new circle? And it's not necessarily trying to find a new circle.
Yes.
It's trying to connect with others that align with what you're trying to do. Like, for instance, if you're trying to start that new business, and you're trying to put it together,
Yes.
and say you may not have all the pieces, you're still trying to get your research together. Align yourself with other entrepreneurs, other business owners that have done it, have started their business, got that business plan together, because you can start to connect with those people, because they can give you some insight on how you can get going with your business.
Absolutely. You want to connect with like-minded individuals. So first, get a clear idea of the kind of people that you want in your life. If you're focused on growth, find people who are also leveling up, who can or where you probably want to be one day, whether it's through a networking event, online communities, or mentorship. So you can do that as well. But the key to that is align yourself with people that have your best interests at heart. You want to move upward. In other words, you want to level up instead of level down.
Exactly. And that's what the real key is, because a lot of times, we
Yes.
we connect with the wrong people. And don't get me wrong, there's some people that are definitely not going to be in the same zone as you, but you still connect with them anyway. But you just have to keep in mind, you cannot allow those people to destroy your focus, because your focus is everything, especially when you're trying to move forward and whatnot like that.
Okay. Brown 7777. Thank you for joining us. Hello. Thank you for joining us. Sandra, Benita. Y'all guys, thank you guys for coming, joining in. Douglas, that's Pete Douglas. Thank you for joining us today. We are having a very interesting conversation today, and I'm glad you guys are here. We're going to continue on with this topic, but you want to find those connections with people that are like-minded. That's what we're talking about today. And you want to be intentional about pouring into a new relationship after you've decided you don't want those old relationships anymore or old friendships anymore. So the best friendships come from those who have mutual efforts and shared values. In other words, you have things in common, and that's going to carry you and help you to level up and take you to the next level.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
Yes.
I made some of the best connections just being in the right rooms. So sometimes you have to put yourself in the right place to connect with the right people. They have as Doc B was saying earlier, they have networking events, online communities,
Yes.
and mentorships that they have going on. That sometimes you need to put yourself in those places, or even connect with one of those bomb podcasts like J&B Live, where you can get all the real
Yes.
information of what you need to upgrade yourself, because that's just how it is. That's just how it is.
Yes.
So let's talk about that next segment of today's podcast. Now, that's what we want to do right now during this point. We want to get some of you guys to reach out. Send us a comment and let us know, have you guys experienced anything where you had to let a connection go, or you had to upgrade and something happened where you had to change your circle. If you guys feel comfortable enough, put it in the comment section. We want to open this section right now for you guys to tell us about a story or something that you guys may have been through that you'd like to share with others right now.
Yeah. So while everybody's typing in or adding their comments in the comment section, I want to share with you a story that I had when it's been a long time ago, but I never forget. I worked in a restaurant. I was a cook at Shoney's a long time ago, and this was when I was in college. And I didn't want to do that while I was in college, but I mean, I had to make ends meet. And a lot of us have been in that situation before. So I ran into one of my friends that I went to elementary school together. And she and I hadn't spoken a long time, but she worked at one of the retail stores that was in the mall in the area. And so what happened was I befriended her because I know I wanted one of those jobs as a salesperson in the mall. So I didn't sever any relationship, friendships at that time, but I just created a new one because I know where I wanted to go. So in other words, I was hanging around like-minded people because I know that's where I wanted to be in the next couple of years.
Okay, that's absolutely amazing, Doc B. And we also had one of our subscribers going to go ahead and share their story with you. They were saying that they had a sister circle where it was four of the young ladies. They were really tight. They hung out. They actually been tight for about 10 to 15 years. Now that's a long time.
That's a long time.
To be dealing with 4 or 5 people in the same circle. And she said over the last couple of years, she had started getting focused on starting her business. We was talking about this earlier. And as she started working on her business, she noticed that she wasn't able to connect and go out, hang out with the girls like she used to.
Yes.
And, a couple of them was, starting to feel a certain type of way. And she was like, no, it's, I'm sorry, guys. I like to hang out, but I really want to stay focused on what I'm doing. You guys know me better than anybody. Sometimes I can procrastinate a little bit, and sometimes I hang out with you guys. I tend to do that more, so I'm trying to concentrate more. Now, what had happened? Now this is what's really funny about this story here. Not really funny, but interesting, I would say.
Okay.
When she started to pull away from the circle because she was focused more on trying to get her business started, believe it or not, the circle started to disband.
Oh, wow.
So that means that she was actually the glue
Yeah.
of that circle.
Mm-hmm.
So because she started to upgrade herself because she wanted to get that business going. Now we're talking about four grown ladies now.
Mm-hmm.
Now that one person broke off, not really to leave, but to try to get herself together. And the other three stopped hanging together because she was no longer there.
Wow. That's interesting.
That's very
That's
interesting.
that's interesting. So she was the bond that held that circle together,
Exactly.
and that often happens to relationships, even to family members. Sometimes, just think about it. In certain areas, when one person is no longer there, the group or the circle dismantles. Isn't that something?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so, again, that was one of the stories from our listeners that shared it with us on social media and so forth, like that, on her outgrowing one of her friendships.
Okay.
So, we appreciate you for sharing your story. She didn't want us to give her username or what platform she was on. So we respect that.
Okay. Well, Mariah, thank you for joining us. Aldo, Ona, Dina, thank you guys for joining us. You're just chiming in. Jess, thank you for joining us as well. We got a hot topic going, and you guys chime in on it and leave us a comment and let us know what you're thinking. But all of that just goes to show that it's something that we all experience. And I'll leave you all with this: growth is a journey. It's about growth, where you start, where you're trying to go. Not everyone is meant to come along with you in this thing called journey. I call it life sometimes, but that's okay. You're going to honor the evolution, honor it, and keep
Yes.
moving.
Yes. And remember, real friends support your growth.
Yes, they do.
If they claim that they're your friends, they're gonna support you. They're not gonna try to make you feel bad because you're trying to upgrade or you're trying to start that
Yes.
business or you're trying to do something that's just good for you.
Yeah.
They're not gonna stunt your growth at all. So if someone makes you feel guilty for evolving,
Yes.
then they were never meant to be around you in the first place,
That's true.
at all.
Okay, that's a good one. Now, if you've enjoyed this conversation, this was a very interesting conversation about um, a friend circle and when you've outgrown that friend circle, signs to look for that you've outgrown it, and how you move forward with creating a new circle or new friendships. We hope this topic has been useful in some way. Please download it, save it, and share it. And also, please like and subscribe. We need your support. And we thank you for what you've done for us so far, but we wanted to continue to bring you our podcast.
Exactly. And for you guys out there, please keep in mind, you can definitely we prefer most of you guys to follow us on YouTube.
Uh-huh.
That's our main channel. We have
Yes.
most of our content on YouTube. You can also follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, most social medias. It'll be Live with JNB or JNB Live. And for some of you guys out there that just love to listen while you're on the go, you don't have time to watch the visual JNB
Yes.
Live, but you want to listen to some of the amazing topics that we talk about. We're also available on Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Spotify, all of your the majority of your podcast networks. Again, just look for Live with JNB or JNB Live. And if you're in the process of finding a new circle, you can join our online
Yes.
community.
Yes, you can.
Me and Doc B are here.
Yes, we are.
She's a life coach. She'll be glad to uplift you or give you that positive advice. Or if you're into business or especially real estate,
Yeah.
Broker J3 is here. I can definitely be able to give you many insights on that. So again, follow us on social media. Remember to hit us up on the DM so that we can keep this conversation going.
Yes. And as Broker J3 just said, just take us along with you. You don't have to be able to see us, be visual. You can actually just make it an audio by downloading us to, and use your favorite podcast to listen to us. We would definitely appreciate it. And before we go, we're going to tell, are we sure what topic we're going to discuss next? Or are we going to just wait for someone to send something in?
Well, we're gonna wait till somebody send something in. We actually
Okay.
have a couple of topics already, but we like to push the ones that really kind of hit
Yes.
home, and we thought this topic was one that hit home. So
Yes.
that's one of the reasons why we push this up forward. So if you guys have a topic that you like for us to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
you need some insight, send it to us. Send us a message, DM or whatever. If you want to send us an email, we'll be glad to take that. It's LiveWithJandB at
Mm-hmm.
gmail.com. So, we're here for you.
Mm-hmm.
And
And what I
you
want to say is until next time, you're going to keep growing, keep evolving, and keep surrounding yourself with people who elevate you. You're trying to become a better version of you.
okay, and you already know next week we're gonna talk about money, mindset, and moves. You don't want to miss it. You
Okay.
don't want to miss it.
Okay.
And again, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you guys. We can never stop appreciating you guys for all
Yeah.
of your
Thank you for your
support.
support. Much
We would
love to
definitely
you.
not be here if it wasn't for you
Yes.
guys. We thank you
Thank you.
so much. Again, I'm Broker J3.
I'm Dr. B.
And thank you for joining J&B Live Podcast. Thank you so much. We appreciate all of you guys. And have a great evening.